Let us get our facts straight. Let us understand the stance of the Muslim Ummah and the ulama. Don't look at Islam today. Don't look at some individuals who claim knowledge and they'll name a school after Muawiyah and they'll write a thesis, PhD thesis after Muawiyah. They'll name their children Muawiyah. No. Come to the Imams of the Muslim Ummah. And I'm not going to mention any Shia Imams. Imam al-Nisa'i. Imam al-Nisa'i. One of the greatest of scholars in the Sunni madhab. What happened to Imam al-Nisa'i? Do we read his biography? One of the authors of the Sihah. Imam al-Nisa'i from Egypt, he migrated to Sham. When he reached Sham, they told him, how come you don't have hadiths praising Muawya ibn Abi Sufyan? He was the Imam of hadith. So he kept ignoring them. They kept telling him, tell us hadiths praising Muawiyah. Where are the hadiths praising Muawiyah? Where is Muawiyah in your books? So he said, the only thing I know about Muawiyah is Rasulullah said about him, La ashba Allahu batna. Rasulullah said that may his stomach never feel the satisfaction of food. So he was constantly hungry. What did they do to him? What did they do to him? They beat him in ways I can't describe now. And they disrespected him until he died. They beat him until death. Muawiyah Thani. Who is Muawiyah Thani? The second Muawiyah, the son of Yazid. He is a witness to the character of his grandfather and his father. When his father Yazid died, he stood and he gave a sermon. Go read. Al-Imam al-Bukhari brings this sermon. Dhahabi and Tariq Asakir, Ibn Asakir, they bring this sermon of Muawiyah Thani. He stood and he said, my grandfather usurped the Khilafah of Hassan. And my father Yazid fought Hussein over his rightful position of being a Khalifa. And they have accumulated great sin. And today they face Allah and they have to respond to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I am not worthy of this Khilafah, neither this Khilafah is meant for me and my clan. And he stepped down from the Khilafah. He was a witness to the atrocities of his father and his grandfather Muawiyah. This is his own grandson. Look at the work of Dr. Adnan Ibrahim, an Islamic thinker and a speaker and a scholar, even though he belongs to the Sunni school of thought. But look at his condemnation of Muawya ibn Abi Sufyan. Farhan al-Maliki, a scholar, a professor who lives in the Saudi kingdom, has written and done works on Mathalib Muawiyah, and he has a theory that Muawiyah was behind the murder of Rasulullah. This is a scholar today in Saudi Arabia. So the debate, Al-Imam al-Shafi'i, if you are a Shafi'i, Al-Imam, what does Imam al-Shafi'i say? Imam al-Shafi'i says, I am certain that 4 of the companions are fasiq. Fasiq. And amongst them, he mentions the name of Muawiyah. Muawiyah entered the religion of Islam after the liberation of Mecca, after they were not given any sort of chance anymore to delay their Islam. Rasulullah marched with his companions into the city of Mecca, and they liberated the city of Mecca, And the next day Rasulullah gave a sermon next to the Kaaba. Abu Sufyan, his father, came. The staunch enemy of Rasulullah. His mother Hind was the one who cut the body of Hamza, the uncle of Rasulullah, Sayyid al-Shuhada, and she dug out his liver, and she ate his liver, and she made a necklace out of his ears and nose and tongue and lips, and she wore this necklace as a sign of glory. This was his mother Hind. They as a family were at the forefront of every battle against Islam and Rasulullah. So Abu Sufyan came and his followers came in Mecca, and they stood in front of Rasulullah. Ya Rasulullah, what will you do with us? Will you take us as prisoners? Will you strip us away from our businesses? What will you do with us? Now you are the powerful one. What did Rasulullah say? اذهبوا فأنتم الطلقاء. You've been freed. Meaning what? Meaning you can be taken as prisoners. But we have graced you with freedom. We have forgiven you and graced you with freedom. And Rasulullah wanted to make it a point, brothers and sisters. Just like Allah, you see, Allah sends down the 12th chapter in the Quran. For example, Surah Yusuf. Why would Allah send the whole chapter, Surah Yusuf, in all its details to the early Muslim community? Why not just a reference to Yusuf? You see, Yusuf was taken by whom? By his own brothers, the closest people to him, thrown in the well, and then sold as a slave. And then he ended up becoming a slave and then a servant, and then he was accused of a crime he had not committed, and he was imprisoned. So until this part of the story of Yusuf, if you're reading the story of Yusuf, you find that what is this miserable man? What is this innocent person who became so miserable? Why? Where was God? Where was Allah's justice? Isn't he Yusuf, the son of a prophet himself? Shouldn't God be looking over him and protecting him? How did he go through all those miseries and tribulations and end up in prison for a crime he has not committed? But then that same Yusuf gets out of prison, and now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decides to empower him. So he becomes the most powerful man of Egypt, and his brothers now have to come and beg for his mercy, beg for his forgiveness. True? What did the story entail to the Muslims and non-Muslims alike? Allah wanted to tell them, all of them, that this Muhammad, this orphan kid, who today all of you fight him and terrorize him, will be given power. And he will be the Aziz of Mecca, just like Yusuf became Aziz Misr. And you'll have to stand in front of him and beg him for his forgiveness. And this is exactly what happened. What kind of Khalifa was he? A righteous one? A pious one? The first thing that he did, after he took the truce and the peace treaty from Imam Hassan, he came to Kufa and he said everything in this peace, he ripped the peace treaty. He says every term in this peace treaty I will put it under my feet. So why did some people ask, why did Muawya have a peace treaty, sulh with Imam Hassan? Didn't he have 120,000 people in his troops? So why did he have to do a peace treaty and a truce? He could have just went to war with Imam Hassan. Two reasons. Number one, he realized that if he goes to war and kills the grandson of Rasulullah, his legitimacy will be questioned. His khilafah will be questioned. And it wasn't just Imam Hassan. Many of the sons of the khulafa, the relatives of the khulafa, the heads of the armies, the dignitaries of the time of the three caliphs, the four caliphs, were in the tide of Imam Hassan. That's one. And number two, he genuinely thought that he would be killed. He genuinely thought that he might lose the battle, because he had lost against Amir al-Mu'mineen. And the same people who led the army of Amir al-Mu'mineen were leading the army of Imam Hassan. So he was advised by his advisors, don't go to war with him. Try to use deception in order to win the Khilafah. He did. When he became the Khalifa, today the Wahhabis, mashallah, you see them, the beard is up to their bellies. And the dishdasha is up to their knees. You know how you have shalwar qamis? They wear the qamis, but they don't wear the shalwar. Because they think that this is the sunnah of Rasulullah. Sunnah. That's the sunnah they take from Rasulullah. As if Rasulullah had no other sunnah but a beard up to here and a short dress. Let me tell you, you praise Muawiyah and you love Muawiyah so much. Let me tell you of the appearance of Muawiyah when he became a Khalifa. I'm not telling you this is books that speak of his biography from your own books. He used to plug his beard, because apparently maybe they didn't have razors then. So he was clean as a baby. No beard. And he would wear a dress as the dress of the kings of Kisra, the Persian Empire. 6 people would carry the dress of the Khalifa when he walked into the masjid. Yeah. You know how you've seen in the wedding, sometimes the dress of the bride is La ilaha illallah. So some people carry, this is the Khalifa. They used to carry his dress. And he used to sit on a golden throne. And he was the very first person to bring into his palace castrated boys and men. I don't need to tell you why. They would take boys and men, castrate them, turn them into slaves for the Khalifa's pleasurement. This is Muawiyah. This is the legacy of Muawiyah. This was the lifestyle that he had. The most lavish of lifestyles. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud went to him, he said to him, Assalamu alayka ayyuha al-malik. He wanted to tell him, you're not a Khalifa, you're not Amir al-Mu'mineen. And Muawiyah says, Inni raditu bil-mulk. What do you think, I'm embarrassed to tell you that I'm a king and I don't want to be a Khalifa? You can greet me as the king. I am proud and I am a proud king. Yes, he took the Khilafah and changed it into a dynasty and a kingdom. And he was the one who prayed Salatul Jum'ah once on Wednesday and once on Thursday. It's called the Friday prayers, but he prayed Wednesday and he prayed on Thursday. Why? Because he was busy on the Friday. So he told them that you have to gather and I will lead the Friday prayers on Wednesday or Thursday. He killed the closest, the most beloved companion to Rasulullah in the Battle of Siffin. You know, the story is traced all the way back to the time where Rasulullah was building his masjid. You know his masjid in Medina now? Rasulullah, he built this masjid with his own hand. And the Muslims, they helped him. Brick on top of a brick on top of a brick. They built the masjid of Rasulullah, the original masjid of Rasulullah. Amongst the people building there was Ammar. Ammar. So Ammar one day got into a heated debate with the third Khalifa Uthman ibn Affan. We don't want to get into that story. But then Rasulullah told him, Ya Ammar, sataqtuluka al-fi'atu al-baghiyah. Ammar, the ones who go astray from the religion of Islam will kill you, will murder you. And Ammar was on the side of Imam Ali, murdered by Muawya. But what did they do? Did they just murder him? No. The head of Ammar ibn Yasir was the very first head that was amputated in Islam. This is history, huh? Don't tell me, Sayyid, how is this topic relevant? Today, if you find the heads of the followers of Ali beheaded, it is because Ammar ibn Yasir, who was the follower of Ali ibn Abi Talib, was also beheaded. Imam Bukhari, he said, how can he give the Khilafah to his son while he had a treaty with Hassan? And the Khilafah must go to Hussein. But also some of the sons of the Khulafa, they found themselves to be candidates to Khilafah as well. So he said, we are more worthy of this Khilafah. What did Muawiyah say to him? The son of the Khalifa, he says to him, my son is more worthy to the Khilafah than you and your father. Huh? What happened? I thought that the followers of Ahl al-Bayt are the only ones that question the Khilafah of the first and the second and the third. Abdullah ibn Umar in his last days, Abdullah ibn Umar is, to say the least, extremely respected by the majority of the Muslims and believed to be a scholar, true scholar, a faqih of Islam, says, I have hasra and regret towards one thing about the dunya. I have extreme regret about one thing in this dunya. I am departing with this extreme regret. Why I did not side with Ali against Muawiyah on the day of Siffin. When they saw that Islam has reached where it has reached, that's it. And Muawiyah was the one who took out the children of the companions themselves, the sons of the Khulafa. Anybody who speaks, Muawiyah would finish him.